Hello everyone, this is 201A on Scratch. Today I will be discussing the difficulty of the bosses in the Dark Souls 2 DLCs. There were 3 DLCs with this game which added 9 bosses. Dark Souls 2 had more DLC bosses than any other Dark Souls game. Dark Souls 2's DLC bosses were also a lot harder on average than the main game bosses, so keep in mind that there are well over 20 Dark Souls 2 bosses below the bottom entry on our list. So with that out of the way, let's start. Number 9, Gank Squad, Crown of the Sunken King. The Gank Squad is certainly not an easy fight and it has a horrible co-op run, but I found it to be easier than the others. I'll admit I almost never used life gems or Elizabeth's mushrooms in Dark Souls 2 and ended up almost exhausting my store during this boss fight. Still, it's a co-op boss and I did it solo, and anyway, many experienced players have tons of these at the ready, so I can't have cheesed it too much. It's a lot like Lautrec from Dark Souls 1, where the best way to win is to run frantically around the arena and take your rare hitting opportunities. It's just you can't use Estus on Lautrec. Number 8, Aava the King's Pet, Crown of the Burnt Ivory King. Aava is quite a fun boss, once you learn his tells. I will admit that I did struggle quite a bit with his soul masses in the past, but if you position yourself on one side of the bridge before they start and then sprint over to the other side, you can actually dodge them quite easily. You'll also find that he leaves a long enough attack window after he jumps, which will allow you to punish without being punished unless you're overly greedy, which kills you in any fight anyway. Number 7, Elana the Squalid Queen, Crown of the Sunken King. This boss sucks. It's like they scaled down Chandra and gave her the ability to summon pigs, skeletons, or Velstad whenever one wave dies. It's so stupidly unfair that I'll admit that I ended up summoning help on her. Unlike the other bosses on this list, I genuinely hold no punches with taking co-op into consideration when it comes to difficulty. In general, I prefer to solo a boss, but in this case I genuinely believe soloing her is wrong. It's blatantly stupid that you can never know how many Velstads she'll summon, and quite frankly I think in terms of quality she has the bit of chaos to be envious of. Number 6, Alonne, Crown of the Old Iron King. Alonne is one of the best bosses in the entire game. He has an amazing score that helps his Eastern atmosphere in no conceivable way. He also has very fun to learn moves that really reward skill with entertainment. Some of his hardest to avoid moves at first will become punishable and fun later. I will say that Dark Souls 2 is the slowest game on average, and Alonne's forward thrust is liable to be executed before my brain even has time to send a message down to my finger tendons. But this isn't a problem as long as you prepare a roll as soon as he jumps back. Number 5, Twin Aava's Crown of the Burnt Ivory King. In my opinion, this boss is the laziest in the entire game. I hate it. It's like 75% of the Crown of the Burnt Ivory King bosses are Aava. The Twin Aavas are a gank fight done horribly wrong. They are certainly matched for Elana in terms of crappiness. In fact, the only difference in quality would be the fact that FromSoft called them a co-op boss, which they didn't for Elana. Being me, I solo ran them and it took me 15 tries to win. I frankly can't believe that I actually ran through Springbok Hell 15 times. Certainly the most stressful boss I've ever fought, period, and that's for all the wrong reasons. Number 4, Burnt Ivory King, Crown of the Burnt Ivory King. The Burnt Ivory King may have the best atmosphere of any Dark Souls 2 boss, but I really hate the gank at the beginning. I died 15 times to that gank alone. I had all 4 voice knights, which I can tell you are rubbish as aggro holders. The king himself isn't that hard, but that's assuming you learn his tells, which is hard if his minions never give you even the chance. Number 3, Blue Spelter Demon, Crown of the Old Iron King. Unlike the other 2 co-op bosses, I actually like the Blue Spelter Demon. It's not a reskin, its hordes are curved up, whereas the orange Spelter Demons are smaller and curved slightly down. Its run is bad, but certainly a joke compared to Springbok Hell. It also goes down a lot quicker, but it has a lot harder to dodge attacks. It actually can be poisoned, so it gave me a lot of an easier time with my Poison Crypt Blacksword. Still, it presents a well-balanced challenge that I certainly appreciate. Number 2, Sinh the Slumbering Dragon, Crown of the Sunken King. Sinh isn't a bad boss, but he's not one I seriously like either. It's like they took Calamite, doubled the difficulty, and added a pinch of unappreciated bullshit in the form of flying all over the arena whenever he pleases. I would try to give you advice on this boss, but I think the fact that I died an embarrassing 51 times on my first attempt eliminates any right I thought I had to talk like I knew what I was doing. Number 1, Fume, Crown of the Old Iron King. Fume is probably my choice for the best boss in the entirety of Dark Souls 2. That's partly due to his laughable run. I think hard bosses don't need hard runs. But anyway, many of them do. Fume Knight's first phase is a lot easier than his second, but I can certainly see him putting up a fight. His attacks for both hands can happen in seemingly whatever order he pleases, making him very hard to read. He only has a few small punishing and healing windows, which make it hard to do anything without some practice. Phase 2 is the real challenge. His combo isn't too hard to dodge with practice, but it certainly isn't easy. On my first playthrough, I had to stay at a distance because I felt like it was the hardest to dodge attack in the game. He'll sometimes move his sword over much of the arena at 1 mile per hour, which can murder low ADP builds. Combine that with the fact that he's liable to blast Cheeto Puffs in random directions, which can be insanely difficult to dodge at medium range. It's easy at close range, but that's because his AoE just knocked you flat for even more damage and you got the iframes. I died 89 times to Fume Knight on my first playthrough. That means 90 attempts counting the victory. On New Game Plus, he killed me roughly 10 times, so despite my wealth of experience, after 90 attempts, he still puts up some kind of a fight. Fume Knight is certainly my choice for the hardest Dark Souls 2 DLC boss. Well everyone, that's it for today. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you all for listening to my rant, the best of luck, and I'll see you next time.